All right, I think we're ready to go here. And we're back on the Build Phase podcast. I'm your host, Mr. Ben, and today I am trying to do a live video reaction to the Days of Future Past cards that are revealed today, August 5th. So let's click right in here and see what we've got. This is the first time I'm trying to do any kind of a live stream, so we'll see how it goes. Well, this kind of live stream, other than fight nights. Anyway, so we're going to start right off with a 6-cost Logan supporting character, 12-8-3. I like 12 attack on turn 6, X-Men affiliated. So before I even get into the card, I have to again mention that we are getting X-Men affiliated cards in a 55 card box that is introducing a new team, the Sentinels. We have already had an issue in the past with the Brotherhood, so I know I mentioned this last week, but it can't be ignored that introducing a new team in a very small expansion, expansion, and also throwing in a few off-team characters, it just doesn't bode well for the Sentinels, other than they have that plot twist that stops Dark Phoenix, so maybe they'll get played anyway. Notably, this Wolverine is called Logan, not Wolverine, so that's going to have an impact on his ability to be used as power-ups for other characters. I do really like this particular art panel, particularly for this storyline, but also in general. This is an iconic look for Wolverine. So, all right, to the card. Future Past. Logan can't appear on your side unless there are at least 5 Brotherhood, Resistance, or X-Men supporting characters in your KO pile. He's a 6-drop. If you curve out and all your characters have 1 wound and die, you can have this 12-8, 3 health guy. That's pretty good. The restriction is real if you want to play multi-health characters, if you want to curve out, that could be an issue. But if you're putting out a lot of low-cost guys, which the X-Men are somewhat good at, and between Uncanny Defense and, Squad Tactics, I think, they've got some tools to have kind of a swarm of weenies. I mean, X-Men weenie builds were a big deal in old verses. So he also has this block of text down here. Canadian Resistance Colonel. You may recruit Brotherhood, Resistance, and X-Men characters without revealing them. Characters you recruit this way appear on your side hidden. That's cool. When a Brotherhood, Resistance, or X-Men character appears on your side hidden, it may make an attack while hidden that turn. So how do you resolve that attack? Let me see if there's some text here. So my guess, before I get into this, is when the attack is declared, you have to reveal the card. Otherwise, how can you resolve the combat? But let's see. You can recruit the character from those teams while you still have to pay normally for the cards recruited this way, including any additional costs. So like Lady Sif, for instance, she's not one of the appropriate teams, but just you have to pay a green to put her into play. If you recruit her hidden using Canadian Resistance Colonel, you would have to still pay the green to put her into play. You have to follow any other rules about recruiting, restrictions when the character can appear, including uniqueness. So Galactus, for instance, if you don't have Herald, you couldn't use him. Yes, I know he's not on the team, but just for an example, hidden cards recruited this way will act like other hidden cards. They are not stunned, can't have equipment or counters, can't be attacked, and lose their powers. Ooh, that's notable. They keep team and name and team affiliations, and during recovery phase, you must turn them face up when you recover your stunned characters. There are exceptions to cards recruited this way. Only the card's owner can look at them. They can only make attacks while hidden on the turn they appear. So that's a notable thing. So you pay for the guy to come out, and let's say you have He Couldn't See Me in your deck, and you hide the character again on a subsequent turn. You don't get a hidden attack after that. You only get to do it when you're recruited, the turn you're recruited by this Canadian Resistance Colonel power. But I still haven't gotten to the part about how we handle combat. Okay, they can make attacks while hidden on their turn, and it works like this. Cards with flight and range can make attacks while hidden as if they had those powers. So their powers are turned off except for these two. Okay? Hidden cards have team affiliations so they can team attack. They don't exhaust. Ooh, that's an interesting point. Right before they strike, turn them face up and exhaust them. So right before they strike, any powers they have are turned back on. Your opponent will need to verify after cards are recruited this way and turn faced up that they were played within the rules, especially in regard to their costs and the legality of any attacks made. I don't like that. So let's say we're playing at a high stakes event and I recruit 4 characters, all hidden. I declare a series of attacks using some of my face up characters, and then I make a series of attacks with my face down characters, and it's on the opponent to verify, keep track of each individual card, how many recruit points I paid for that card. When the card is flipped over, that the recruit points I said I paid match the cost. That feels like an awful lot of mental bookkeeping to put onto your opponent in a competitive sense. Now, is this guy going to be a competitor? I haven't even begun to process this card. Just this rule is kind of difficult. So I declare an attack with a hidden character. You don't know who the character is. You don't know what the character's stats are. You don't know what their powers are. And then as I go to strike, so it could be a bluff. I could be trying to draw your plot twist out of your hand. If I recruit 2 different characters and I pay 6 recruit points for one and 1 for the other, and then I fiddle with my formation step for a while like a game of 3-card Monty, at a certain point, if I'm spinning cards around, you're going to lose track of which is which, and then I declare an attack with a hidden character. Is this the 6-drop that I played that you have to use some pump to avoid being stunned by, or is this the 1-drop that I played that you are just going to get hit? Holy cow, from a competitive standpoint, declaring attacks that make your opponent do a lot of mental heavy lifting makes a lot of sense. It's a good strategy. It works well, particularly at the end of a long day. After there's been a lot of games played and you're tired, it can play to your advantage it's like the situation when you have a card in your hand that you could play out to the board or you could hang on to. And if it's not going to be impactful on the board, you want to hang on to it for a variety of reasons, not just this reason. But one of the reasons you might want to hang on to a card is to make your opponent think about what's in your hand. It's just one more thing they have to keep track of, one more thing they have to think about. So we know that foisting additional questions onto your opponent and expecting them to answer them does drag somebody down, burn out their mental stamina. And this is just a whole games worth of mental decisions wrapped into potentially just a couple of recruits. Apologies if anybody hears my kids running around. It just is what it is. So I think this is probably going to be good. If this card isn't good, I think it's going to be because of the drawback that you have to have so many dead characters in your KO pile before you can actually bring him out. But Cersei has proven that 12 attack on turn 6 is very good. He's better than Cersei. And yes, Cersei can come back out with Eternal, but 3 health is just better than 1 health in every situation, pretty much. I do think this card seems like it could really beat up, particularly as like an aggro closer. So this is your 6-drop. You know he's going to stick around unless they have lethal. And then on turn 7, you get a play out a bunch of face down guys that get to attack in this stealthy way. That seems pretty good, especially in a competitive setting, especially at the end of the day. You're just going to put so much mental work onto your opponent that I think I'm going to try not to sneak out. Okay, the next card. Wow, what a first card. I really appreciate that card. I like that card a lot. I think I'm really going to enjoy this 6-drop Logan. So 1 cost, Sentinel affiliated equipment, Mutant Internment Center, or Inhibitor Collar is the name of the equipment. The power is Mutant Internment Center. Equip the Inhibitor Collar only to an enemy supporting character. The collar can be equipped and remain equipped to stun characters. Interesting. The equipped character loses and can't gain powers other than from this card. This power remains on while the equipped character is stunned. Now that's awkward. So I see what they're trying to do there. They want to essentially have a single target nullifier that sticks around until the character dies. That's cool. I like every part of that. what I think is a little bit awkward, and for one cost, man, this is actually really, really good. I think this is better than Nullifier. It's cheaper. It does force you to have Sentinels, which, given what I said at the top of this show about how Sentinels are coming in a 55 card box and they're also sharing slots with X-Men, Sentinels might be a pretty thin team. Hopefully they get some more support over the course of the Futures Past arc, but I don't know. Anyway, back to this equipment. So what they're saying is this character loses all their powers, but they have to gain this power from the inhibitor collar, because while what Mutant Internment Center does is remove powers from your character, Power Neutralizer. What Power Neutralizer does is remove powers from the character. That in and of itself is actually a power. So you have to remove all powers, but have this kind of humorous, kind of awkward caveat that, but the powers from the collar still stick. It's fine. It's probably the most elegant way they could make the card work the way they want it to work. And I think the way this is intended to work is very cool. So far, I really like what the Sentinel team seems to be shaping up to doing, is that it is probably going to be control-y, although some of the characters we've seen would indicate that it's going to be a little bit swarmy. So maybe it's you play your low kind of crappy Sentinels early and you use these other effects to kind of control the board, and then later when you play those Sentinels, they're much bigger, they have more powers. Maybe that's the intended line of play. I think this card is good. I think between this card and the plot twist, you're gonna see some Sentinel action in serious play. Now, one thing that is a little bit weird is the next card is a level 4, but I haven't seen... I don't want to skip straight to the level 4. Are the rest of the... What? A level 5? What? Okay, so they're not going to give us the levels 1, 2, and 3. I find that frustrating. A level 5! Okay. So this is, let's take a look at the games. Only the game's third ever level 4 main character. So I guess I gotta take what they're giving me here. Alternate timeline. Level 3 Wolverine on your side may level up into... Oh! So you're Wolverine for level 1, 2, and 3. And then you become Logan at 4. So he doesn't have a level 1, 2, 3 for this? It's just banking off you having the base set and legacy... What do I think about that? So I can already hear the budget concerns coming from some folks where it's going to be, I'm a new player, I like Wolverine, but I have to go back and buy 2 other sets in order to play this main character. And also, even if you don't like Wolverine, it's frustrating that there's going to be slots in this new box. So you're a Sentinels fan, you buy the Sentinels, and there's slots in the box that are dedicated to a 4 and 5 level character that you have to own 2 other expansions in order to be able to take advantage of. That does seem to, in kind of a fundamental way, violate sort of the promise of the LCG. Part of what we were told with the LCGs was that we would be able to... You buy one expansion, you get all the cards from the expansion. That's part of the appeal. All of that being said, and I think those are all valid critiques, I'm, as a longtime fan of this game, very happy with this. I think this is one of those things. So a long time ago when I had Danny on the show, he talked about new player retention new player acquisition versus existing player retention. And this was in the context of talking about the Legacy expansion, about how this box set was really going to be not a good expansion for somebody who's just getting into the game, but it is sort of servicing the fans who have the 3 previous expansions and giving them more tools and more toys to interact with in that sense. Whereas a brand new player walks up to Legacy, that's not going to be... or crossover would be a more contemporary example of a similar type of thing. So, being that I already have Wolverine level 1 and 2, and then level 2 and 3, I think this is kind of cool. I think this is something that they need to be careful with, because again, the appeal to a lot of people about the LCG model is that you get all the cards you need to play with something. And I do think there is a peril to messing with that promise, even if it's not an overt promise, even if it's just an implied promise. I think there is some peril to fiddling with that too much. But I think this is cool for me personally. I give this high mark. Well, let me read the card before I give high marks. The idea of this I give to high marks. So, alternate timeline. Level 3 Wolverines on your side may level up into this character. While this is in your level up pile, level 3 Wolverines on your side. Oh, man. So, maybe this is the first time we have ever seen this in the game, where having a particular level up option in your level up pile grants a power to... Oh, whoa. This could be for any... Oh, okay, this is huge. So with Legacy, what we got was a different level 2. You go from the Marvel Battles Groot into the level 2 Legacy Groot, and that's what gives you the avenue to get to level 3. Wolverine was the same way, Green Goblin, Kingpin, Mystique, it doesn't matter. This is the first time where we have had a main character that comes out that lets you give a power, a level up power, to a previously existing main character from a different expansion that grants them the ability to level up into this new main character. This is a huge door that has been opened in terms of design space. This essentially opens the door for every single bad MC to get a new way to play. Now, that's not always going to be good for every single MC. Like Green Goblin, notably, has one of the worst level up conditions in the game. It's really hard to get there. So even though they gave us these new versions, Green Goblin never got there. Now, I will say this level up, that not nice in any timeline. I like the name. And it's when Wolverine stuns an enemy defender while attacking solo, he gains an XP. So this level up, if I remember correctly from the Marvel Battles and Legacy Wolverines, that tracks exactly the same. He gains XP whenever he does a solo attack and stuns the defender, even if he gets clipped back. So it doesn't introduce a different level up condition, which we have seen that. There's a few characters. I think Captain Marvel maybe has a different level up condition in each level. So I'm not sure. I think either way is fine. For this being the first of its type of card, I think keeping the same level up condition between the previous iterations of the character is fine, but we know that they're willing to play around with that. He gains Snicked. This is the combat power that Wolverine has, +3 attack for a red. All previous Wolverine main characters have that. And the Fight of Our Lives in a Dark Future, level up 1. So this level 4 character grants a level up condition to the previously existing Legacy level 3, and he has his own level up condition. 1196, I don't remember Wolverine's health. I think he's 5 and then becomes 6 at level 3, but not a character I play with a whole lot. When a resource appears on your side, if there are 10 or more resources, Logan gains an XP. So this keeps the same level up for the level 3, but then changes it at the level 4. Wow, what an interesting card. So level 5, first of its kind. Snicked, okay, makes sense. Berserker 8, whoa, a 14, 12, 7 main character. Wow. Pay a green when Logan stuns an enemy character this combat. Wound it in extra time. He can use this power any number of times on your turn. Now that is an end the game condition. That is awesome. I'm going to pay 4 greens and I'm going to wound your character over and over again. Wow. Keith McGee is happy. That is my first bit of analysis on this card. Is this going to be competitive in a tournament setting? This is asking a lot from you. Wolverine has already been kind of a like tier 3, maybe tier 2 main character for a long time. When he does well, I think it has more to do with the X-Men kit that he packs around him than himself. His level up condition is legitimately a problem. You have to attack and you have to get stuns and you have to attack by yourself. So you can't pack or you can't rely on team attacks to get it done. I mean, this level 5 is awesome, but I don't know when you're going to see it. Oh, wow. I think I have to go back and actually kind of revisit Wolverine and I haven't touched any of those main characters since Coda last year. I guess that's not true. I did build a deck with Professor X somewhat recently, but other than Justin's deck, shout out to my patron Justin, patreon.com/thebuildphase. So just, wow, I'm having a hard time even thinking about these cards. So the 6-drop, I think, could be the top end of an aggro deck. It could be a game ender, and it can be very annoying for your opponent to begin with. 12, just by himself, even if you ignore the Canadian Resistance Kernel, 12-8-3 is a great stat drop for 6. If you've got team attacks with the X-Men team, he's even better. His drawback is a drawback, because generally you don't want to play all 1 health characters and make sure they all die on the turn they come into play. That said, if you have a little bit of extra card draw, if you have a little bit of, and the X-Men have the loyalty plot twist that lets you draw extra cards. So you could maybe have like a shotgun of low drop characters early in the game, fill the KO pile, have him come out, turn 7, play out just a board full of characters that your opponent doesn't know what they do until the attack is striking. That seems very viable. That seems like a live card to me. Now, how that deck is gonna look, I'm a little shakier on. I don't think I could sit here and sketch it together real quick. The inhibitor, this card is just a better nullifier. It's just a strictly better nullifier. I guess the only way it's worse than nullifier is that you have to play sentinels and it only hits the 1 character, but it's resistant to your opponent stunning stuff, so you can lock flight. And well, in all powers you can lock, and I guess it's worse than nullifier in that it only targets 1 character, but the way it targets, this is a better card. I would rather have this in my deck than nullifier, because most of the time when you play nullifier, you're only targeting 1 power or 1 character anyway. It's something specific to the board state that you're trying to deal with. This just does it in a more durable fashion. Slap that on a Jessica Jones. Excellent. Delicious. 4 and 5 drop Logan, or 4 and 5 level Logan. I want to like this. We haven't seen very many level 4s in the game, so it's cool that Logan is getting this. I think it's really cool that we're getting our first ever level 5. His stats look great. His health, his powers, I like everything about the card. I think the hardest part of playing these cards is going to be getting there. I really like these previews. I think these are really good. All of them. I want to play with all these. Actually, every card that's been revealed from this, other than maybe Senator Kelly, I immediately start thinking of and want to play. And even Senator Kelly, I think there might be something there, but I'm not super interested in it. Wow. Level 5. Huh. That's awesome. All right. Well, good day for Versus.